This is CCS-TV, empowering voices, inspiring futures.
Building your child's financial future starts earlier than you think, and it starts with Southern Chautauqua Federal Credit Union. With the Kids Credit Union, families can take simple, achievable steps today that lead to big outcomes tomorrow. We believe small, consistent saving habits build confidence, responsibility, and lifelong financial stability. Your child could graduate with up to $10,000 to kickstart their future. We're more than a bank. We're a long-term partner in your child's life. Stop by your local branch today and let's start their journey together.
Hello, welcome back to the CCS Sportscast. I'm subbing in for 7 this week with Stephen Carlson, who's here today. He's back from Chicago, back in Jamestown. Said he was out of town or doing something this week. We don't really know where he is. But this week I'm subbing in for him, and I have a few questions to ask you.
Awesome.
And my first question is, you're back in Jamestown. What's the first meal you had back home?
It's definitely something just my mom cooked. She's sitting over there. I don't even remember what did we have. Like, my mom's always big. I mean, she's fully Italian, so big into like Italian meals. We're gonna have spaghetti and meatballs later tonight, and I don't know, she makes tuna melts and all this. So like way too much stuff. And I used to have to like put on a bunch of weight, so I'd be eating a ton of food, and I'm not really in that phase anymore. I'm just maintaining. Mm-hmm. So she just cooks way too much, which is funny, and there's so much leftovers that she's then like forced to eat or something. So
it's always good to have something at home instead of going out, right?
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's much better.
You spoke at Jamestown High School last night, right?
Yep.
What are you hoping the kids are going to take out of your speech and what you gave to them?
Yeah, man, it was a fun event. Congrats to all the graduates. And I was really, my main message was like controlling what you can control. You know, as you go through life, like, you're not going to be the most talented at everything. You're not going to always have like the most optimal opportunities, but if you can just like work hard, be dedicated, you know, be persistent, those kind of things, I call them the intangibles. Like in professional sports, you're evaluated, you know, on size, speed, strength, and then there's other things that they can't really be measured. They call them the intangibles, you know, like being coachable, being persistent, being dedicated, all that kind of stuff. So I was focused on the intangibles, the things that can't be measured. Like, those will kind of carry you through anything, good or bad, whatever happens to you, like outside of your control. If you just focus on the intangibles, like you'll be all right, and you'll keep moving in a forward
That's super
direction.
cool.
Yeah.
So you went to Jamestown High School, spoke for Jamestown High School. I was wondering, do you remember the number of your high school quarterback here in Jamestown?
I mean, we had Jake Sisson and we had Nick Holland. Oh my gosh, I feel like one of them was 11. I don't know. Do you have the data?
No, I was hoping you would.
One of them, I think one of them was 12.
I had name and number,
11.
so you got one. You got a 50% score on that.
No, do you know what Jake was and what Nick was? You don't have them?
No, I just had their names
I have to
here.
look them
I have
up.
a number.
I'm pretty sure somebody was 11 and somebody was 12. I think maybe Nick was 12 and Jake was 11.
There you go. Playing for Jamestown, playing from like a small town, how did that affect your career going through Princeton, then to Cleveland, then to Chicago rather?
Yeah, I mean, maybe like didn't have the best like recruiting coming out of Western New York. I think like for a long time it was kind of not respected as much as like some of the other areas throughout the U.S. or like even in the state. And so I kind of wanted to go to UB coming out of high school for whatever reason. I don't know, just because it was a big school around here. And I went to a few camps and they never offered me, even though I thought I was good enough. And so I ended up going to Princeton. I think it worked out well. You know, I had a lot of, you know, stats and all that kind of stuff throughout high school, and it didn't get me into a major school, which I think I'm lucky, and I'm glad that I didn't go to, you know, some big place and get lost. And you know, I'd hope that after, you know, a couple other kids after me too, like getting recruited, like hopefully Western New York has a little bit better of a rep in terms of scouting and the type of players we have coming out, because there is some talent here. But I also think coming from like a smaller town, you know, you're more connected to the community. You're closer with everybody. You know, the support that they have for you is crazy, and that's kind of followed me throughout my whole career, which is like a big benefit. You know, a lot of pro athletes are like always getting hated on and that kind of thing, and like I feel like I've never really had that. You know, I've just had like complete and total support from, you know, Jamestown and Princeton and on. So that's like, you know, helped push me forward. You know, whenever I'm not playing for whatever reason, you know, my mom's always like, oh, these, you know, 5 people in Jamestown said like you're the best player on the team. So even if it's not necessarily true that I'm the best player on the team, like it's just cool that to have that support.
And you won Best Player in WNY for tight end, correct?
Yeah, it was like the Conley Cup, I think, was like the best player in Western New York. But I played receiver here, and, you know, we won the state championship that year. I think it was my senior year that I won it, so we won the state championship, so that helped. And, you know, had whatever stats.
Bring eyes to you if you're winning states.
Yeah, so.
And you said that Jamestown, being a smaller town, is such a tight-knit community. Who was the most instrumental in your football career growing up, and just you growing up as a person?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with like family values and stuff that my mom and my brother like instilled in me. My brother kind of like paved the way in a lot of aspects. The only aspect he didn't really pave the way was football. He played like midgets around here his first year that he was eligible. I think he was 9, and he like hated it. I think he played center, and he hated like everything about it, and didn't continue playing from there. So, you know, when it was, he's 4 years older than me, so when it was, you know, my time to have that opportunity, I didn't play my first year, you know, just whether it was my mom didn't want me to, or like I didn't have any desire because my brother didn't. But that kind of leads in from family and the values that my mom and brother taught me into like the friends I had in the neighborhood, like the Panamienko. Zach Panamienko was one of my best friends growing up. His family was kind of integral in getting me like started into sports. I remember playing baseball down at Roseland Park. I think Mr. Panamienko was either the coach or he was involved, and he kind of like, you know, invited us down to their house, and like, you know, I went to Holy Family, like a Catholic school growing up, so I wasn't in the public school system until 7th grade. So the Panamienkos like welcomed me through sports, and then I met, you know, Zach and Ben and Max and all these neighborhood kids that, you know, I just grew up with, and made an easy transition when I did go to Wash in 7th grade, and like just having fun in the neighborhood, like playing and competing with those guys, you know, kind of like fostered a spirit of play and competition in me, which helped. And then like Coach Langworthy, Coach Drake, I mean really all the coaches on the football and the basketball staff, I could name them all one by one. They were all kind of integral in just developing me as like a person and an athlete. You know, waking up, I think we had summer basketball at like 6 a.m. every day, so that kind of like discipline and like dedication to your craft, go from basketball workouts in the morning straight to football workouts after that. Like, you know, it was fun. Those coaches like knew the important things for a high schooler to learn, you know, about like character and integrity and, you know, becoming a man. That kind of like, you know, feed into those intangibles that I was talking about. Just like being a man of character is helpful in more than just sports, and that, you know, kind of, you know, fostered into Princeton, where, you know, once I got there, I wasn't really playing to begin with. I didn't really play my first 2 years, and I just like enjoyed working out, like, you know, competing with my classmates and the other kids on the team, and just like put in my time in the weight room and on the practice field until eventually I got an opportunity. So, you know, all that kind of from my family to, you know, coaches at Princeton, kind of fed into developing me as a person and carrying me on my journey.
Yeah, I'd love to keep talking about this, but we have to cut the break. We'll see you
let's
guys back in CCS Sportscast after the break.
To enlist into the National Guard, you first have to contact a recruiter. So either calling up your local office or going online and finding who your nearest recruiter is. So you talk to the recruiter. Once you speak to them and you schedule an appointment, you come in. Don't be afraid to come into our office. Coming in does not make you have to join. It's just answering any questions that you might have and seeing how we can help you get there.
Looking for something special, something you won't find anywhere else? That's Gift Boutique is downtown Jamestown's destination for ready-to-go gifts, gorgeous home and garden decor, and all those perfect little finds you didn't know you needed. Just steps away from all your favorite spots, make Dots on 3rd Street your next stop downtown. Dots Gift Boutique, you'll find just what you're looking for.
Jamestown, New York is where innovation meets sustainable growth, fostering a vibrant community of creative, dedicated people who truly love where they live. It's a place where you can build a fulfilling life with excellent schools, quality healthcare, and a cost of living that supports your ideal lifestyle. Blending small-town charm with easy access to big city amenities, Jamestown is the perfect place to live, work, and raise a family. Jamestown, New York, the pearl of opportunity and balance.
Every day, we're working to build a better, stronger community in Chautauqua County with Prevention Works. Prevention Works is a community-based organization focused on substance use prevention, social-emotional learning, and community wellness programs. Our school and these-based programs help foster healthy decision-making, self-regulation, coping skills, and more. We also offer community programs that provide awareness trainings for schools, parents, businesses, and organizations. Contact us today to see how you can help make a difference in our community by visiting preventionworks.us.
Welcome back to CCS Sportscast, where we still have Stephen Carlson on here, and I'm going to be asking him a few more questions. One of my first ones was, what was the hardest part in your development getting back up into the NFL? So coming from high school all the way up to the NFL, what was the hardest point getting there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a lot of things, but the biggest was just like the size and like speed that I had to develop. Like I have a big frame, but I think I came out of high school and I was like 190 or 195.
Because you came out as wide receiver, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, which is like even, I mean, 6'4", 195 is probably like still a little undersized in college, so I had to spend like the first couple of years just putting that weight on. And then again, after, I had a successful college career, to get to the NFL, I was advised by, mainly my agent now, that I probably wouldn't really have a chance at wide receiver in the NFL. Like I had the size, but I didn't really have the speed. So, he advised me to make the change to tight end, which was obviously beneficial. But then again, I was in that mode of like I had to put on, 20 to 25 pounds in about 4 months and get faster at the same time. So that was like, that was a fun time in my life, but that was a big challenge. But I think I was just under 220, and my agent was like, if you can get to 240 by your pro day, 240 pounds, like they'll see you as a tight end. The NFL will see you as a tight end. Yeah. So I was proud of myself when at my pro day I was 240.0 on the dot, which was cool. And then just that from like high school to NFL, everybody's just bigger, faster, stronger. Like it's still football at the end of the day. The playbook is probably the biggest thing. Even freshman year of college, like it's much more than just like one hand signal kind of thing. The playbook, it's there's pass answers to run plays, and there's checks, and there's cans and all this type of stuff that like you don't really deal with at the lower levels of football. So the playbook is another thing, even at the NFL level. Like it's much more encompassing than the college level. And the offense we ran at Princeton was not really didn't really translate much to the offenses I've been in the NFL. Yeah. And then the fact that I'm also playing a new position, I'm in like what they call the box, where it's basically like from tight end to tight end. So you're blocking like linemen and linebackers instead of like just corners and safeties, which is all you really block as a receiver. So everything that comes with, you know, without getting too technical, like just combinations of, you know, blocking with a tackle, you know, where to go from the down lineman to the linebacker, that kind of thing. Like I never had any experience with at Princeton, so that was a big you know, jump and thing I had to learn going into the NFL, was just playing within the box and blocking people there.
Were there moments where you think you wouldn't make it and you were down in the dumps?
No, I was never really down. Honestly, like, I didn't know my chances coming out of college, and I thought they were probably pretty low. But I also, like, since I didn't play my first 2 years, and I was like, oh, wow, like, I'm having fun and having success my next 2 years. And I never really looked past college. Like, I don't know, even when you're a little kid, like, everybody kind of has, or like, I don't know, every guy, I guess, every little boy is like, you know, pretends to be a professional athlete and like wants to go to the NFL or NBA, that kind of thing, which I obviously did that, but I feel like I was a little more realistic like my whole career, and I never was like, oh, I'm definitely going to make it, like, without a doubt. So when I had the opportunity, it was more, you know, it was more like, why not? Like, I might as well try, even if there's like not that big of a chance. So that kind of like led me, like, I'll just, you know, in this transition period, I didn't know what else I wanted to do either. So I was like, might as well just go all in on trying to go to the NFL. If it doesn't work out, then, you know, I lost a handful of months, but I'm back where I was, you know, half a year ago, and it's not that much loss. So that was kind of my mindset going into it. And then, you know, just from there, it was just like, oh, okay, like, I made it, I got signed to a team, like, might as well just work hard and do everything I can to stay on the team, and just kept going from there.
And once you made the team in Cleveland, your first touchdown in the NFL was on ESPN Top 10. How was that, being your first point scored in the NFL?
That was cool. It was like it was a primetime game too. It was a Thursday night game, so I feel like everybody was watching. I had like so many texts and everything. And I mean, it was really cool. I feel like in the moment, it wasn't such like a big. Mom, you're gonna come. It was in the moment. It was such a, you know, I didn't really have any like thought of how big the moment was, and just glad we won the game and everything, and it honestly got a little bit overshadowed by some other things in the game, but it was a fun experience, and I'm you know, grateful that I actually started the year in the practice squad. They brought me up, and like a few games later, I was playing and scored a touchdown. And
how do you think coming from a small town helps you handle that big stage pressure that you had on like a day like that?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I've never really felt a ton of pressure. Like, I get really nervous for things, honestly, like jittery kind of, like, but I think that's beneficial. And I don't know, maybe just being, you know, so tied into everyone throughout the city, and, you know, everybody knowing who I am kind of in a small town, like, you whether that's high expectations or nerves from that, like, you don't want to let people down. I think that kind of drives me a little bit, where I don't, you know, the people that I respect, I never want to, like, disappoint and let down. So that drives me a little bit, but I don't know why I've never really, like, felt the pressure of, like, the big moments or anything like that. Like, it's just, to me, it's just, like, working hard and that kind of stuff is just, like, you know, it's just, like, another day, you know, it's, like, another moment that, you know, you keep on stacking.
It's better in the NFL if you're not getting on pressure. You're always out there and you're ready to go, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's like a lot of expectations, and, you know, you have these big, you know, stakeholders are relying on you, whether that's the owner or the head coach, all these, like, you know, massive, the industry's, you know, massive. There's so much money thrown around, and, you know, when you have, like, especially when you have the ball in your hands, it's like you have the whole organization in your hands, because everybody is expecting, you know, is expecting to win and is expecting to grow, that kind of thing. So you don't want to, like, let down all these big stakeholders. So there's pressure in that sense, but I think if you think about it too much, then it's worse, you know. Then you if you feel that pressure and you think, oh man, I'm not like constantly thinking I don't want to let people down, but I'm like in my like preparation and in my work ethic and like the amount of work I put in, I do that because it's like, okay, I don't want to let the organization down, I don't want to let my teammates down, but then in the moment, you know, I trust in the work that I put in, trust in the preparation that I have like leading up to a game week, that I'm not going in like expecting to mess up, or like, you know, I'm expecting to execute my job and like do it well.
Absolutely. And speaking of pressure, I'm getting pressured to go into this ad break, so we're going to go into that now. We'll see you guys back on this on CCS Sportscast.
"70 years ago, it started with ink, paper, and a promise to do things right. Today, that same promise powers something bigger. JRSC Digital, where tradition meets speed and ideas turn into impact. From custom apparel and bold signage to targeted direct mail and promo products that get noticed, we don't just make it, we make it matter. Fast turnaround, local service, trusted for 70 years. JRSC Digital. Consider the possibilities."
Life moves fast, but the moments that matter slow us down. School runs, weekend games, road trips you'll never forget. It's all about getting there safely, comfortably, and together. At Schultz Chevy, we're here to help you find a vehicle that fits your family, with space, reliability, and peace of mind you can count on. At Schultz Chevy, built on trust, driven by family.
From our lot to your driveway, we reach at Schultz Chevy, where every deal feels like a win.
To enlist into the National Guard, you first have to contact a recruiter. So either calling up your local office or going online and finding who your nearest recruiter is. So you talk to the recruiter. Once you speak to them and you schedule an appointment, you come in. Don't be afraid to come into our office. Coming in does not make you have to join. It's just answering any questions that you might have and seeing how we can help you get there.
Welcome back to CCS Sportscast for the third and final segment of the show. And we were wondering about, so you started in Cleveland and went to Chicago, and you had an ACL injury in Cleveland and then one in Chicago, and then a collarbone injury in Chicago. How did you deal with that, with those setbacks?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely annoying. You know, you have a ton of momentum at certain times. At least personally, my story, you know, I started on the practice squad, then I got elevated for the second half of my rookie year. Then the next year I played every game. You know, I had a good role. I was playing a ton on special teams and on offense, and felt like I had, you know, that would have been going into my third year is my first time with the same staff, so the same offense, don't have to learn anything new, and felt like I had all the momentum in the world, and a preseason game that I don't even think I'm supposed to play a lot in, like a drive or two. First drive, I tear my ACL, which it's annoying. I'd never experienced that before, so I didn't really, you know how to feel initially. Like it was like sad initially. I remember like crying a lot the first couple of days because I'd never really experienced that, and all that momentum stops. But you know, as you go through them, you learn. You know, it's just like a job, like it is playing on the, you know, practicing every day. Like you gotta put in the work every day in rehab and just be disciplined and dedicated, and you know, there's no option to like skip days or anything like that. You just got to show up every day and put your best effort and your best foot forward, and eventually like you'll get healthy. The strength and training staffs nowadays are so elite that like they're gonna get you back to a good spot, and as long as you put in effort. So then it's just a matter of getting back to where you were, and then you know, you kind of get an opportunity to like build from the ground up a little bit with your body, like especially with the knee. You know, there's a time where you can't really move at all, so you know, you get a little excess fat or whatever on, but then you got like 9 months to a year to kind of like, you know, rebuild and get your body composition right and all that kind of stuff. So there's opportunities there to come back like stronger than you were. So that was the first big one, and then my other big one in Chicago is the collarbone, which was really annoying because, again, I started the year on the practice squad, and then I think maybe 3 weeks in, like pretty quickly, they elevated me. Like nobody had gotten hurt or anything. It was just like, hey, you know, we see like you're working hard, and we think you can add value to our team. So they elevated me on like a Tuesday for, you know, just sign me to the 53, and then 2 days later in practice, on the last play of practice, we had like a competition period. The last play of practice, I caught like a deep ball, landed on my shoulder, and broke my collarbone. So 2 days after I get elevated, I break my collarbone, which just, you know, could have had that full season to perform and make plays on the field, and then that's taken away. I mean, there's positives to it. Like, luckily I got activated, so then I got the benefits and accredited season and everything with the collarbone. But same sort of thing, you know, you just got to show up every day, put the work in, and get back to where you were.
Yeah. And you're coming from Cleveland to Chicago. How dramatic was a change was that, even just city-wise, not even just football-wise?
Yeah, it wasn't. I think I learned. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I learned that most organizations are pretty similar nowadays. You know, there's so many guys interchanging between teams and everything that like they're run pretty much the same. You know, some facilities are nicer, some, you know, kitchens are nicer, this and that, but they're built pretty much the same. You know, a lot of guys are in and out of organizations. You know, guys who have played here who, you know, you were once teammates with, your teammates again, that kind of thing. So it's pretty similar, honestly. And then different cultures, obviously, through like, you know, the leaders, like head coach and some front office people, like, instill different types of things. But it's still, everything's like, you know, hard work and effort and caring about football. And then the cities, I feel like, I mean, Chicago, I think, is a little bit cooler than Cleveland, but you're right on the lake. Stadiums are right on the lake in both, and you got nice suburbs and all that kind of stuff. But Chicago, I've really enjoyed being there, and I've kind of done a lot more, I think, with teammates and friends who visited in Chicago than I did in Cleveland.
Yeah. And then my final question for the show is, what is something that fans don't see about the daily grind of the NFL life, behind the scenes? What are fans not seeing that's not on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it. Definitely just like the amount of work that goes into it. You know, every day, as I said, you don't really have a choice to like, you know, oh, my body feels bad, I'm hurt, I'm tired, that kind of thing. You don't have a choice, especially come week 15, 16, 17, like depending on where you are in record-wise, like everybody's playing hurt and everybody's got to get up and do it over and over and over again. And, you know, the fans just see like the final product on the field on Sunday, but they don't know, you know, how many times a team has ran, you know, practiced this certain play and it's gone wrong so many times, but like everyone trusts that this is going to be a big play, and then on Sunday it's like a touchdown or something like that. It's like that's a product of, you know, messing it up so many times in the week. And, you know, personally, I don't think people really get like the practice squad, what that is. And, you know, I think it's 15 to 20 guys that, you know, are practicing their butts off every week, but not playing in the game. You know, supporting the guys who are playing. They're taking reps to give the guys a break, and, you know, beating our bodies up just as much as, you know, not like tackling and all that kind of stuff, but beating our bodies up pretty good and having to deal with that without getting to play. And just the amount of work that goes into playing. I don't think anyone, you know, fans, it's hard to comprehend, really. Yeah.
This will be the end for the show today. We're hoping we can get Sebi back next week, and we thank you, Stephen Carlson, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good rest of your day. Thank you. I appreciate it. See you guys.
Experience the difference buying your next pre-owned ride at Schultz. Certified technicians ensure our inventory gets up-to-date maintenance. Most purchases include a limited lifetime engine warranty and more. That's why we say you can't beat a Schultz deal.